Welcome to the video. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Hope you're all doing well. This is some interesting stuff and it all started last week during the Dunhill. Let's dive in. So obviously the links Dunhill is famous world over for the golf courses that it's played on round Kings Barnes, Carnoustie, the old course. And the professionals that play have like am teams, so it's made up of either their friends and family or famous people. And halfway through the Dunhill, for some reason, maybe because it got a bit, there was a lack of news day, whatever it was, but they started commenting about how Chris Evans apparently got a lifetime ban when he played with Nick Doherty and won the Dunhill by about 20 shots. Apparently, at the time, Chris Evans was playing off a handicap of 10. And this was way before the new handicap system. This gets really interesting. So, if it's true or not, I don't know. But on a side note, after Nick Doherty won the Dunhill Links trophy and cashed about 7 million in, he retired from golf and went into broadcasting. Mainly. I think he might have had some injuries as well. Who knows? But what a fascinating story. So, obviously, Chris Evans' score was something like 43 under or something. It might have been 47 under team total. And they basically said there's no way Chris Evans is a 10 handicap. They must have looked at the scores. They must have looked at how he was hitting the ball. That type of thing. Now, fast forward from whenever that was, because it was all over Facebook. It wasn't just the Sun, it was the Daily Record, it was National Club Golfer. Every news outlet for some reason said Chris Evans got a lifetime ban from the Dunhill. So I'm only giving you the information that I read on Facebook, right? It might not be 100% correct. But if all these news outlets went for it, I'm assuming it probably is. Right, so, anywho's, let's just say, I don't think Chris Evans has played in the Dunhill since then. Chris, if you're there, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anywho's, we're not saying he was a bandit, but obviously there's a lot of 10 handicappers out there in the world handicap system, and the best comment of all the news outlets was, wow, that's news, is it? There's another 10,000 of those 10 handicappers with this new system. You've created a monster. In other words, the new system, the World Handicap System, produces 10 handicap golfers that, technically speaking, could be a single figure digit player, 5 and below. But because of this system, they're playing off 10. And if you follow the scores in Category 1 and Category 2 and Category 3, you will know what I'm on about. We're not going to go into all the numbers because that just gets too boring. But then, today, right now, it exploded all over the news outlets again. We are all cheating. Wait for it. This is getting serious. The World Handicap System is saying that this is cheating. If you have a midweek sweep where you all roll up, put your balls in a hat, pull them out and go off in pairs or groups of 3 or 4 and play around for a wee bacon roll or something like that. A friendly sweep. Now normally in these situations also, what the World Handicap System forgets is a couple of major things. But anyway, they want you to put a card in every time you do that. It's a counting round and it should be counting to your handicap. So we're all cheating because we don't do that, right? But hang on a minute, World Handicap Golf System. Here's what happens in the normal sweep situation, right? Obviously, you're playing off the yellow tees. That's not an issue. The yellow course. It's not an issue because you can actually put a card in off any tee you want. Red, yellow, white, blue, black, whatever. The course thing's not an issue. But when you're playing in a friendly sweep and you get a 4 ball, what happens? you obviously throw the balls up pairs together and you play 2 against 2 match play better ball. It just happens, eh? And okay, you're maybe marking your scoring as normal, but there's one major difference. You're giving gimmies. Anything inside that is a gimme. Speeds the game up. It's just a bounce game. You're playing round. It's a gimme. Pick it up. Now, I think how slow the round would be if you had to A, mark everybody, because the other thing that happens is you put all the 4 scores in one card and one guy just marks it and it's a different guy every week. But imagine how slow it would be if you had to play around and put everything out, like 4 of you, 3 of you. When there's 3 of us, or when you go out in a 3, normally you play like a modified Stableford or something like that. So there's a bit of banter between the 3 of you and it's a points thing, right? And then when you get in, you may well have played your sweep based around a Stableford point score system. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong, as in, I'm not saying they're 100% wrong, right? So if you're playing in these sweep things and you're rolling up and you actually are playing 18 holes, then possibly you should be looking at putting a score in. But they make it so difficult to do that. Like, if you're playing in that scenario, there is another way. You can put a supplementary score in, and that's on the app. And I don't know if anybody's ever tried this. So you've got your app with you, and you say, right, I've got my time booked. I'm clicking on the app. I'm teeing off, and it brings up a like live scorecard. So you actually put your score in as you go. And obviously it measures where you are in the course, so it knows where you are because it's using your GPS. And obviously you get someone at the end to validate your score. But even that is not that fluid and intuitive to use in a sweep situation where there's a lot of banter going on. There's a lot of chibbing. there's just a lot of like fun going on. Why are they taking the fun out of it? There's got to be an easier way. There must be a way where, say you all play around in a sweep, right? You all know you've all marked your card, right? This is where I'm going with. You've shot the number you've shot, right? Whatever that is. 34, 36 Stableford points, 40 Stableford points, whatever that is, right? World handicap system, if you want this to work, if there's a group of, say, 12 of you or more than 4 of you, right, and everyone validates the score, you should be able to put the number in without, like, in a bounce game stroke sweep scenario. I reckon you should just be looking at the total. So you should be able to put, say, 10 rounds like that in, and it should be in a separate little thing. It should be in like a competitive dash members sweep. Let's call it that. Right, so you go into that and you say, right, this week I actually managed to shoot a 76. I think they should just look at the 76 total with your handicap of, or that should slot into your top 16, and that should have some sort of different calculation on it. What do I mean? There's no pressure, there's not as much pressure on a fun bounce game with your mates, so you naturally are going to shoot better, I find. Because well, for a start, are you giving gimmies like that length or that length? Or are you expected to hold everything out? If you're holding everything out, again, I think that's like, I think they need to add something into this formula to make it appealing to people to put these supplementary scores in. The ones that put the supplementary scores in that I've seen are the ones that are trying to get a Chris Evans. No, take that back. They're trying to keep their handicap at a level that is conducive to scoring and winning in competitions. You with me? There's hardly anyone I see putting supplementary rounds in to get themselves lower. And maybe I'm reading it wrong. But of course, the World Handicap system is in a panic and put this out because no one's actually doing it, or not enough people are doing it. They know how many go in, but it's a tiny amount. It's not enough to actually make the system work. That's their argument for it being so bizarre and all these crazy mad. We've all seen it. 56s, 59s, 58s coming in. What was the craziest one I saw? 47 Stableford points, I'm sure I saw coming. Also, you notice this more and more now. World Handicap system fails at Texas Scrambles. Come on. 49. 49. What? How can you go round a golf course in that? And obviously it's 4 players that are off at 15 or thereabouts, and they all get these handicap shots in this Texas Scramble, and they come in with these scores, and you're like, it's not even worthwhile entering those competitions now. If you're like a team of, what you would normally do in the old days, you maybe have a low boy off at one scratch or whatever. You'd maybe have a guy for 5 or 6, then you'd maybe have a boy off at 10, and you might say to one of your mates off at 12, come on, we'll make this team up. We'll have a really good chance of winning. Now, it's like teams of 4 that are off at 20, 15, 17, 18 or 19 or whatever, and they're coming in like 12 and 14 under, 15 under par. I mean, World Handicap system. Blame bounce games. That's it. It's the fun of the game, the bounce game and that. That's what's causing it all. You're not putting in these scores and that. You're rocking up for these sweeps. There's more to it than that. I just think, and that's all I really want to say and talk about. So thanks very much for sticking with it this long. But crazy news in the world of golf, I thought. Cheers for watching, subscribing, and sticking with the channel and supporting us. It's very much appreciated, as is all the ad revenue that we gather, which isn't a lot. It gets split 4 ways between the charities, Macmillan, Healthy Heroes, Shelter and the Samaritans. See you all soon.